Hello and welcome to a bright but blustery Croft for the Dunlop Greater British Motorsport Festival package. Very picturesque circuit in the north of Yorkshire, and all the usual Dunlop Greater British Festival package runners with us this weekend. The likes of the Mini Challenge, the Dunlop Sportmax Cup and the Radical Clubman's Cup. No Radical UK Cup, however. They're away racing, supporting the Le Mans Series in Germany. So the Radical Club Cup, therefore, will be our first race that will line up on the grid, with the number 24 car, the black and white car of Paul Steele, sitting there on the pole position. Alongside him, the 6 times winner so far this season, the 2008 champion, the man who tops the 2009 championship table, number 3, the company director from Cambridge, Jonathan Wright, sits there on the outside of the front row of the grid, with Darren Luke, car number 7, sitting there on row 2. Alongside that man, car number 70, David Thornburn, also with one of our onboard cameras for this particular race. Well, a fine crowd assembled also at Croft, enjoying the sunshine but the blustery conditions. And certainly one man who'll be rooting for victory will be local man Paul Steele, the Yorkshireman at his local circuit. The revs begin to rise, the red lights will go out. Paul Steele and Jonathan Wright, a terrible start from David Thornburn from the second row of the grid. He goes absolutely nowhere, so they charge down towards Clairvaux for the first time. It's going to be car number 24, Paul Steele, that will lead them through the right-hander for the first time, with Jonathan Wright in second place. Somebody running very, very wide indeed. It's car number 21. It's the man with our onboard camera, Paul McLaughlin, thumps the steering wheel with frustration. He only gets as far as the first corner of the first race before it all goes wrong. The rest of the field thread their way through the S's, and down the straight there is number 70 with our onboard camera, David Thornburn, trying to slowly make his way up through the field after what was a terrible start from him. He's alongside Sheridan Bell, the man from Skegness in Lincolnshire. And further up through the field, we've also got car number 29, John Paul Ivy, fighting tooth and nail with the White and Dayglow machine in the hands of Colin Noble. And we're right on board once more with David Thornburn, out through the far reaches of the circuit, through the Jim Clark S's and up towards a very daunting right-hander at Barcroft, before then up to this double right-hander, sunny in and sunny out. John Paul Ivy and Colin Noble still doing battle over the places just outside of the top 6 currently. Out of the double apex right-hander, down the straight in towards the complex once more. Here comes our race leader, car number 24, Paul Steele. There's Colin Miller in third position, with Darren Luke sitting directly behind him. Out of the hairpin, 1 lap about to be completed, with championship leader in second place at the moment. Ride on board with David Thornburn, still trying to make amends for that poor start. It looks as though it's the number 12 car of Steve Burgess that's ahead of us. Briefly locked brakes as well from Steve Burgess at the left-hand hairpin. Over the start-finish line they will go, as the rest of the field, for the second time of asking, threads its way through and past the car of Paul McLaughlin. So no overtaking in that particular area. We ride on board with Paul McLaughlin. Let's have a look and see exactly what the problem was off the start. Lights go out. A reasonable start from Paul McLaughlin. He's alongside Colin Noble. That's Charles Loughran in the Union Jack liveried car to our left. He briefly passes as well, so it's a cracking start. Heads into the braking area for the right-hander. Is there contact? It would appear absolutely not. Cold tyres catching out Paul McLaughlin, and therefore his race comes to a very, very abrupt end. So the car is now recovered by our ever-efficient marshals. And as they recover the car into a position of safety, through goes Paul Steele and Jonathan Wright first and second. There's the number 16 car of Colin Miller, still being hunted down by Darren Luke in fourth position, with then Simon Fish and Colin Noble completing the top 6. As yet, David Thornburn still hasn't been able to try and thread his way through and past Steve Burgess. This time he's got a run coming up towards the left-hand section of the complex. He's therefore on the outside part of the circuit for the second right-hand section, but he's through and gains the place. So another position gained for David Thornburn, fourth on the grid, well down the order on completion of the first lap, slowly making progress. Well, through Clairvaux goes number 29, John Paul Ivy. The yellow car ahead of him being Darren Anley. The white and Union Jack car behind is Charles Loughran. Squabbling away outside of the top 6 currently, out of the S's and down the straight towards the reasonably fast right-hander at Tower. And as they head down the straight in towards the braking area for the right-hander, you can see that Charles Loughran's having a quick look at the inside of John Paul Ivy. Gains the place, another position gained, and by the look of things also another position gained for our onboard camera car. As through and past what looks like the Radical SR4 in the hands of Rachel Davis goes David Thornburn to gain yet another position. Making good progress, and there's problems for Jonathan Wright, so championship leader into the pits, hand aloft as he comes down the pit lane. That therefore will promote Colin Miller up into second position now. Problems for the championship leader, problems for the reigning champion, but great battles down through the field as this time Charles Loughran, who has also now managed to get ahead of the yellow car in the hands of Darren Hanley, is trying to pull away equally as much. Darren Hanley in danger of losing another place. Up the inside slides John Paul Ivy. Great squabble between this trio. Again, David Thornburn looking to gain places down the straight towards the braking area for Clairvaux. He's a long, long way back, however, and therefore will follow the car ahead through the right and left flicks, and then right again. It looks as though it's Bill Henderson that's going to lose another place. So Bill Henderson now will allow David Thornburn, very short about the look of things, to almost clamber inside the top 10. A good recovery drive that from the man who started from the outside of the second row of the grid. Well, Colin Noble runs a little bit wide coming out of Sunny Out. That might just cost him a place or two. There's great battles further down through the field as well. The white and red car of Gary Baxter is trying to attack Richard Stables at the same time as he's having to defend from the Radical Club Sport in the hands of Mark Boot. There is Colin Noble, the man who briefly ran wide. However, he didn't lose that much momentum and therefore is still snapping at the heels of Simon Fish, who half spins coming out of the hairpin. Surely that's a place lost for Simon Fish. Indeed it is. Equally as much it's a place gained for car number 45, Colin Noble, who started from 11th position on the grid and is having a particularly good run here at Croft today. Up towards Clairvaux he goes, with Colin Noble now up into 4th position. Simon Fish down into 5th place. He'll try and hook himself on the rear end of Colin Noble through the S's and back down the straight towards Tower Corner. Once more they go. You can just see briefly there the car that's in 3rd place, Darren Luke, going through shot. Here's the 4th and 5th place battle with Charles Loughran in 6th place, not that far away as well. And then John Paul Ivy shortly thereafter. Here comes Gary Baxter. He's fighting with one of the Bajoro class cars. That's Rachel Davis, car number 55. As they head up towards Hawthorne Corner, there's somebody spinning behind. Gary Baxter spins ahead. The car that spins behind it goes through the gavel. It's car number 32. That's John Morris. There is Gary Baxter as well. So just as he was being pressurised by Rachel Davis, he makes the mistake. The car behind does something similar. However, our race leader, Paul Steele, the man from Pontefract, is driving very clean and tidily indeed. Up towards the hairpin he comes, with Colin Miller sufficiently far behind so as not at this stage to worry our race leader. We've only had 2 different winners so far this season in the Radical Clubman's Cup. 6 race victories for the man who's retired, Jonathan Wright. 2 race victories for the man who's currently in 2nd place, that's Colin Miller. It's a great trio battling behind. Simon Fish with Charles Loughran again, having a quick look up the inside. There's a spin for Charles Loughran. So just as he was looking to gain a place and get ahead of Simon Fish, he loses a place, and therefore it's John Paul Ivy that goes through. He's now also under pressure from the yellow car of Darren Hanley that sits directly behind him as they head over the start-finish line and down towards Clairvaux. Here comes the Radical Bajoro class leader, number 55, Rachel Davis. As she makes her way through Sunny In and Sunny Out. Here is Charles Loughran coming through Hawthorne Corner, recovering after that spin with the yellow car number 69 of Darren Hanley some 5 or 6 car lengths away. Charles Loughran will now find himself down the order somewhat. There is John Paul Ivy, the man who gained as a result of that spin. He's featuring outside of the top 6 currently as they thread their way through the Jim Clark S's. Simon Fish still pressing on at the wheel of the number 20 machine in the Radical SR3, which is powered by the 1500cc 250 brake horsepower PowerTech Suzuki engine, 6-speed sequential gearbox as well in that car. Down towards the braking area for the complex, another lap about to be completed for Simon Fish, with all of the time John Paul Ivy, car number 29 in the Radical Pro Sport, keeping him fairly honest. Similar engine, similar brake horsepower capacity. A spin for Darren Hanley coming in towards the complex. He gathers up the moment just as he was pressurising Charles Loughran, the man who made the mistake on the lap prior. He makes a similar mistake, but on the approach to the complex. Colin Noble, car number 45, also having a good run. Here's a replay of Darren Hanley coming in towards the complex, gets 2 sideways on the way in on the brakes, almost loses control on the grass, gathers up the moment and will press on, not having lost a great deal of time, not actually having lost a single place, however. Down towards Clairvaux once more they go, with this time David Thornburn still making excellent progress. The man who started on the second row of the grid, who had that terrible start, now goes through and gains another position. So this has been a superb recovery drive so far from David Thornburn. After that poor start, tumbled him right the way down through the order. Well, championship leader Jonathan Wright is back out again. Whatever the problem was that brought him into the pits earlier on, the number 3 car is back out there and circulating. Flames spitting from the exhaust on the overrun, the unburnt fuel igniting as it comes out. He's just about to go through and try and get past David Frankland. Of course, he's a lap or so down as a result of this one is Jonathan Wright. But of course, it's very much a damage limitation for him in this particular race, the man who leads the championship. There's still some stunning battles down through the order, and is that car number 20 once more? Simon Fish again under pressure from John Paul Ivy. The two of those head down the start-finish straight up towards the braking area for Clairvaux. John Paul Ivy has a look at the inside, gains the place. Through he goes. So John Paul Ivy now up inside what for him will be the top 5. Simon Fish further down through the order, as here we see the car in 3rd place. Darren Luke very much under pressure from 45, Colin Noble. Darren Luke at the wheel of the Radical PR6, Colin Noble at the wheel of the Radical SR3, both of them 1500cc, both of them 250 brake horsepower Suzuki engines. Well, making light work of the back marker, that being Gary Baxter, goes our man in 2nd place, Colin Miller, who's based in Ballymena in Northern Ireland. And for my money, if anything, he's catching race leader Paul Steele, the local man from Pontefract in Yorkshire, being caught by the man in 2nd place, up towards the hairpin. And about to start the final lap of the race goes Paul Steele. Hasn't won as yet in the 2009 Radical Clubman's Cup. And he's being hunted down by the 2-times winner so far this season, Colin Miller, who won back-to-back races at Castlecombe in Wiltshire at the previous round of the Dunlop Great British Festival Package. But the gap between himself and Paul Steele looks a little bit too great on this, the final lap. Locked brakes from Paul Steele, so hard as he's still trying as he heads through what will be the final corner of the race. The braking area for the hairpin, just the acceleration towards the line as Paul Steele, car number 24, who started on pole position, will win round 9 of the 2009 Radical Clubman's Cup, chased all of the way by Colin Miller in 2nd position. Paul Steele will be absolutely delighted with what for him is a fairly overdue win. Still a good battle going on also for 7th and 8th place, with David Thornburn having made a startling recovery following his tumble right towards the very rear of the grid from that very poor start. Out of the hairpin he comes, and our onboard camera car, from being down towards the bottom of the top 20 on the first lap, has slowly threaded his way up to 7th place. So Paul Steele it is that wins from Colin Miller in 2nd position. Darren Luke, Colin Noble and Simon Fish complete our top 5, with Charles Loughran in 6th.
First of all, it's my local circuit, and I'm absolutely over the moon to get the victory. We've had 1 or 2 teething problems with the car. The car was new in May. We finally got to grips with that yesterday, and it's really gone well today in the race.
The car didn't look too bad handling-wise. A lot of the cars out there sliding all over the place, but you seem to have control.
In the faster sections, the car was absolutely spot on, but in the complex, the rear end was very twitchy, so Colin was gaining time on me in the complex, but on the faster sections of the track, I think I had the edge on Colin.
Well, the last time out, no, 2 wins the last time it come, so 2nd position here today, 1st time over here, happy enough with that, that's good.
And how you enjoy the Croft circuit?
I like it, very good circuit, very fast out around the back there, but good circuit.
And what can you do for the 2nd race to try and beat Paul?
We'll give it as much as we can, and hopefully next time we'll change the positions.
Darren Luke, congratulations, 3rd position, but a lot of pressure all the way through the race.
Yes, I made a bit of a whoopsie around the back, and Colin nipped past me, but then afterwards I couldn't see anybody for a while. I was quite comfortable, just sort of taking it as steady as possible, because I know I'm not going to catch these boys. And then all of a sudden I saw, I think it was Colin Noble, coming up behind me, and I just had to sort of do enough to stay ahead, but be mindful of the temperatures. I was running a bit hot, up to about 110, so I was just short shifting when I could, and then going a bit quicker around. I knew you couldn't pass me, so just did enough to sort of hang on to it, so reasonably pleased with that.
Let's hear about the problems from championship leader Jonathan Wright.
Yeah, it was a self-inflicted pick visit. I forgot to put some cable ties on the airbox, and the airbox came off. I thought I'd lost the cylinder, but it was just the airbox, and PowerTech guys, my guys, managed to get the airbox on, and we got out again, but unfortunately we'd only get back to 16th, 17th position, which is a bit of a downer, really.
And your responsibility to tie up the car up, is it?
Yeah, it's my fault. It's completely self-inflicted. I can't blame the guys for that. So, yeah, I'm just beating myself up a little bit.
That's like relief, though, that it's not the engine.
Oh, it is a big relief it's not the engine. We've been struggling all weekend with little niggly things all weekend, and hopefully we got to the bottom of it now, and in the next race I'm going to be on a mission.